I think he wants to go ahead. This is yours.
Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ.
What's going on, guys? How are you? Listen, it's great to be here. It was sort of funny. So this all started with Triller for the original Mike Tyson fight, and I knew some of the guys involved on Triller, and I was talking about it with my father. And I think it was happening over, might have been Thanksgiving. We were at Camp David as a family, and we started talking boxing. And I think Evander and I know Tito can speak to this, but I was with my father, and the fight recall that he had from decades in Atlantic City, from hosting some of the earliest UFC events, some of the biggest boxing matches anywhere in the world, was incredible. So as we were watching that fight, just listening to his commentary, I said, I mean, this is something special, because I don't think people fully understand or appreciate just how involved he was in that world. Just how, he remembered weight classes of people from 20 years ago and the details, and it was just awesome to watch. And just sitting there as a family hearing him talk, I said, man, there's something really cool here. Now that Florida's our backyard, now that we have relationships with so many of the guys that are up here right now fighting, I know Evander forever, with my father, Vitor's become a friend more recently, but I know you were there early on multiple different types of fights with Trump. Tito, 15 years? 18? We don't even want to talk about it. That's how long it is, right? So I even feel old at this point with that. But I was talking with him about it the other day, and I know Ryan Kavanaugh from Triller and some of his friends. And I said, how about we do something more than just attend the fight and do something cool? Because it was just so awesome. And listening to my father hear about these fighters, I think we know Donald Trump's usually good for some good sound bites, but this is actually very much his world, where it all started for some of him. And so I thought it'd be really cool, and all of a sudden it just sort of happened. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'd be watching it sort of anyway. Now we actually get to talk about it and integrate some of that history, that just incredible fight stuff, and really do something I think cool for boxing that has probably lost some of what it used to have, and that's because of the incredible advent of UFC and MMA. But I think this is really going to be special, so I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, we want to do some fights. I don't want to take away from these guys because these are obviously legends in Indonesia. But happy to take a couple if they want it.
Questions? Trump 2024.
Well, I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but not that we want to get political, but no, listen, I think unfortunately America's learning the hard way that they've been sort of lied to and manipulated by media. You're seeing the results of that every day, right? I wake up every day, I go to sleep thinking that we've hit rock bottom, and then you see another thing like we're leaving Americans behind, the economy, the border. It goes on and on. That's not what this is about. This for me is actually, and my father, sort of a reprieve from that. I remember, I was at Tyson Spinks. There's a sort of a great picture of me. I'm actually now, because if we talk politics, Herschel Walker's now running for Senate in Georgia. There's a picture of me. I'm probably about 6 or 8 years old with a bowl cut. I had a bowl cut. We may have to make those great again. But I'm sitting on Herschel Walker's lap at Tyson Spinks. So for me, it's just cool to be there, and having seen so many of those cool things when I was a kid, before I even probably could fully appreciate what was going on. So to see these legends doing this, and watching the training and all of that they've done, as I followed on social media for the last few months, it's just awesome. So I'm super psyched about it.
Question.
I don't. Listen, I'm from Scotland. I know you've got some Scottish blood in you, so the good man. Got one billionaire on the card in Joe Fournier, and we see what he's done. He's 9-0, but we haven't seen yourself. You're a boxing fan. You've got loads of knowledge in the boxing game, like you've just shown there. So we haven't seen you in the ring yet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think this is the one place I don't mind fighting on many different levels. I'm sort of a fighter. This is a little bit different, right? I don't know. And it's unusual for a Trump to probably say that. Maybe I'm just not quite in that. But Listen, I spent time growing up doing it. I understand it and I appreciate want my sons to get into that game because honestly, like, I just think watching this country and maybe even the world, but especially here, you know, I think that fight game for kids and for young men to make them men and for women to have that element of self-defense, I think it's incredible. So I want to bring my boys, you know, have them see that and make them fully appreciate that so, you know, they can get into that and take care of themselves because, you know, unfortunately I think there's far too few men that can do that these days. So another added benefit.
Don, I got a question for you up here, and it's great that you guys are providing alternative commentary, but what is it like for you to be, you guys have been ingrained in combat sports for such a long time, and now kind of coming back with everything you guys did in, you know, political ventures, but now kind of coming back here, it's like life works full circle, and Tito could attest to this, Evander could attest to this, but for you guys to be a part of this event, seeing all these guys over the years, and now lo and behold, Triller says, hey, guess what? You guys want to do commentary? By all means. What's this like for you?
Again, like I said, it's just kind of cool. I'd probably be doing it anyway. We just happen to be doing it with other people listening. You know, that's what it is. I mean, some of my earliest, like I said, childhood memories were at some of these incredible fights. I mean, fights that will literally go down in history. And that's not just boxing. Again, in MMA as well. And so just to be able to be a part of that, to do that, to sort of be able to frankly, you know, let loose. Now, I'm sure if you get a couple hours of unfettered Trump commentary, it's going to be no holds barred. It may get more vicious than some other fights. Who the hell knows? But, you know, for me, it's just sort of cool to be able to have that reprieve where it doesn't have to just be about politics, to be able to talk about those stories, to be able to talk about that history, to hear my father talk about it. I think people will actually get another side. I think the guys on this dais probably understand, you know, just how ingrained he was in that world and for how long. I don't know that many of the viewers would fully understand or appreciate that. So I think they'll see a different side of him, a really knowledgeable side of him. And, you know, again, he's usually pretty fun to have, especially sort of in an uncensored, unfiltered, long format thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just really psyched to do it.
Is it nice that you guys can just sort of kick back, relax, and just, now you have the world listening, but I'm sure, I know you guys like going to fights, kicking back, relaxing, so we get to pretty much hear what you guys are saying to each other, but for the entire world this time.
Yeah, listen, I think the idea is you're in the living room with us. You know, we'd be doing this as a family, you know, if we weren't in attendance, or we'd be, you know, sitting in one of the front rows and doing the same thing and having that conversation. Now everyone else gets to listen in, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. Again, I just have the utmost respect for all of the guys on this day. It's just, you know, legends, and just to see them still doing it is just awesome. So I'm really psyched about it.
Michelle Phelps, you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm just curious, you've been watching boxing since you said you were really young. So who would you say is your favorite fighter watching growing up, and who is your current favorite fighter?
Ooh. Well, listen, Tyson Fury's doing some amazing things, you know, currently. I mean, growing up, well, I mean, I was at some of the more obscure fights for some of these fighters that, you know, and I got a taste of boxing, and I also got a taste of politics, right? Because I think there was a lot of politics in boxing. You know, whether it's, you know, watching Vinny Panzienza in some of those fights back in the day that, you know, sort of, I remember, I think one of those, I was sitting next to either Lennox or one of the great fighters, and he's calling the fight, and I sort of learned a little bit about calling a fight from the perspective and from the eyes of a world-class boxer. And we sort of came up with a result. I was like, okay, I think I got this game. And then you see it go to the decision, and it's like, how the heck did they get that? You know, so maybe that was some of my first taste of actual politics, because it was infused, you know, in the game. So there were so many, and I think, you know, obviously, you know, watching Mike Tyson and having been to those fights again, Tyson Spinks, I saw Tyson McNeely sort of in the comeback. I was at so many of these watching events. I mean, I think I've been to most of them, but you know, it was funny. I was talking to my dad the other night as we were talking about this, and just saying, hey, this could be kind of cool. You know, talking about, you know, Evander. You know, he goes, man, you know, didn't always get the credit, but anyone who stepped in the ring with Evander was in for a really, really, really long night. and I think that's 100% accurate. And so, you know, and you can say the same about any of these guys. I mean, you know, Vitor in the UFC with Affliction, Tito, and I mean, Anderson. You know, just incredible stuff. And so, again, it's just going to be cool to do this. It's going to like just to be able to totally, get out of the sort of everyday mindset for us, which frankly, if you look at what's going on in the world and you look at sort of the attacks that he's faced for the last 5 years, ever since he decided to become political, right? The same people that loved him for years all of a sudden hated him magically overnight. It's funny how that happens. But to be able to, step off, and I'm sure there'll be some politics mixed in because we can't help ourselves. But it'll make for, I think, fun commentary, and I think it'll be great. So for me, it'll be awesome just to be able to step back from that, to be able to have some fun. I think the most stressful aspect of me is to be able to, make sure he behaves a little bit for 4 hours of open mic night. That could get interesting. But no, it's going to be awesome, and we're just looking forward to it.
And to my knowledge, wasn't the Evander Holyfield George Foreman fight in Atlantic City? And I'm sure you guys hosted it. You guys were a part of it. Things along those lines.
I'm pretty sure that was Trump Plaza.
Yeah, Trump. Yeah, absolutely.
Back in the day. So yeah, just again, I mean, he's literally ingrained in what would have been, the last half century of boxing. And frankly, fighting. I mean, you've seen. Dana get on stage. I won't say anything bad about Trump. He gave us a shot when no one else would even consider, hosting the UFC. I remember going to one of the early fights in Atlantic City of the UFC. We were sitting next to Tank Abbott, one of the original, and he put his dentures on the seat next to me. I'm sort of like, what's going on here? And that was his placeholder for, I guess, his girlfriend. I'm like, okay. So just being that ingrained in it for a while, I think. Again, it'll be sort of cool. I've never really commentated on it. I've never totally new. But I think, for a city kid from New York, I probably have a pretty decent understanding of the game. And I'm psyched to be able to talk about it. And honestly, I'd just like to listen to my father talk about it in long form. So the conversation, like I said, I had with him, I was like, he remembered weight classes from like the late 80s and when people moved up or down and what happened. And I'm sitting there like someone else has to actually hear this because it was sort of amazing.
Well, what I love about also the combat sports is there no truer form of sport than two guys in a ring going at it? To me, that is the truest form of sport. You're not playing a game, you are fighting and going head to head in combat.
100%. I mean, it's, whether it's any of those or even, wrestling, that is the one-on-one that everyone's looking for. That is sort of, the ultimate test of self-worth, of individualism. So, again, a big part of it, and again, why we're here, and I think why it's so popular today. It has been for centuries and will continue to be forever because it is the ultimate.
Well, Don Jr., thank you so much. We're going to keep asking the fighters questions. Looking forward to your commentary alongside your father. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Donald Trump Jr.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate it, Don. Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to your commentary, but also as we get set for Saturday.
This Saturday, the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
It's not a game.
MMA powerhouse Vitor Belfort.
It's gonna be a war.
Legends 2, this Saturday on pay-per-view.